So let's just do a brief introduction into Maya. Okay, so to zoom in, you just have to hold the Alt key and the right mouse button to kind of zoom. So hold the Alt key and then the right mouse key to zoom in and out. Right mouse click rather to zoom in and out. Then hold Alt and the left mouse click to kind of spin around this. Then you hold the Alt and the middle mouse scroll down to kind of pan around this. So those are just the basic navigation tools in here. So okay, so now if we let me just put this away. So right off the bat, if you open up the Maya, you should have this scene in here. Should have this classic scene in here. But if you want to kind of change this up, you can come in here to the workspace and kind of change this up and put this in the modeling standard. But depending on what you're working on though, so you should have different workspace for it, for XGen, for UV editing, for sculpting, animation, rigging, rendering standard, expert, whichever one you prefer. But since we're just focusing on modeling, let's just put this on modeling standard. So with that out of the way, so by default also this shouldn't be visible. So let me just drag this out. This outliner should not be visible. So let me close this. So to bring that out, you just go to the window. Say yes, just go to Windows and then you come down here and click on outliner. Then you can just drag and dock this around here like so. That should be fine. So now we have also another setting in here for it's kind of rearrange this. So despite the fact that you can adjust the entire workspace in here, you can also adjust this tab in here also. So if I put this on rigging, you should adjust all this menu in here to tools that are specific or menus that are specific for rigging. So if I change this to animation, so adjust this also to tools that are specific for animation or to menus that are specific for animation. So if we come in here and change this to FX, same thing also to menus that are specific for FX, maybe for simulation and for particle simulation and for liquid or working with the end particles in here. But let's put this on modeling. So on modeling now, you have menus that are specific to, you have menus with tools inside of them that are specific for just specifically modeling or modeling only. So since we're talking about, or since we're kind of working with creating models in here by ourselves, let's just leave this out modeling. Then we have some other options in here. You might not really be needing to use all these options for modeling, but as we move along, we should be touching some of these options that are specific for what we are trying to recreate. So then we have, let's start with the file. So to create a new file, obviously create a new file, open file, save file. Then each particular menu or option should have is the shortcut in front of it. So in case you're looking for the shortcut in front of it, you can always go in there and then look at the shortcut and then reuse or use the shortcut without having to come to the menu in here. Then we have our export selection, send to Unity, send to Unreal. Then create project, set project, resend file. I'm sure most of it should be self-explanatory. So I won't be able to go through the entire thing, but let's just go to the basic or major ones we should be entering most of the time to work with. Then we go to edit, we have the undo, redo, repeat, cut, copy, paste, keys. So we won't be using these ones for modeling, but at least we're going to be using this one for modeling also. This deletes by type history. Now I want to mention that some of these options you have in here, you should find them around here also. Like for example, this delete by type history. This is what we have in here. Come to edit, delete by type history. This is what we have also in here. So the kind of this particular workspace will kind of bring out most of the tools for modeling around here, for it to kind of work with, most especially around this region here. Okay, so also some of these tools are being repeated, repeated around the workspace. Also, it's gonna make it easier for you to kind of select them and then use them. Like for example, if you come to this create, we have knob primitives. So if you come in here, we should also have curves in here. So these curves and surfaces also have these knobs primitives around here. This is it here. So we come to create node primitive. You can see the sphere, cube, cylinder based on the icon, based on the appearance of the icon. You should also find them in here also. So as for that, then for polygon primitives, if you click on the polygon modeling, you should have some of this also in here. You can see the sphere. You can see the icon also have a specific color to it. It's gonna give you an idea of what it is. Same thing we have around here also. So they are also in here. Okay. Then for lights, create lights in here. I don't think there's anything like, there's no light in here actually. Okay, then camera setting. For the most part, you want to be sticking with just one camera setting instead, or basically using just one camera option, which is this, because we won't be animating in here. We're just focusing on modeling. Then we have the select options also. So select all by type. I've not really dabbled in working or using any of these though, but it's still an option if you want to use them. Then we have the grow selection, grow along loop, shrink along loop with the corresponding shortcut keys also. Then we have the modify. Most of the ones I prefer to use most of the time is to come into convert, and then we have some other options in here. Convert knob to polygon, convert knob to subdivide, polygon to subdivide, smooth. I usually use this particular one more precisely, this smooth mesh preview to polygons. But some of these tools are going to be touching as we move along inside of Maya, while we kind of model and create character props and whatever you prefer to model inside of Maya. Then we have our display. So for this, you can kind of specify what you want to be displayed, or kind of bring in what you want to be displayed also. Like for example, let's click on this poly count. So this poly count kind of bring in options in here. It's kind of visualize what you want to actually see in here. Okay. So some of this we use, some of this you won't use, but as you work with Maya, we're going to be touching up some of these tools also. Like for example, the hide, Ctrl H, and the show, Shift H. So if peradventure I'm kind of using shortcuts, it's kind of shortcut that kind of give an idea of something that has to do with the display properties, then you should kind of keep in mind that that particular option should be in this display option. Then we have the windows. In here we can specify what we want to bring in here. For example, now this attribute editor, we have this here already. But for the most part, once you kind of select this modeling standard, most of the tools you need for the modeling standard should be around here. Or if you come to modeling toolkits, you can also have them in here also. It's more or less like repetition of some of this. Then under the mesh, we have the boolean. But most of these tools you see, at least the most important tools you see in here, you also find them around here also. Like for example, this boolean. For example, this combine, you have it in here. You can see the icon looks very similar to themselves. Separate is not actually in here. Fill is not actually in here. Not sure it's actually in here. But some of these tools you find here, you also find them in here also. Same with this. So now we have the bevel in here. You see the bevel function in here also. You can also find it in here too. Around here, we have the bridge. The bridge should be in here also. You have the bridge also in here. So extrude, we have the extrude in here also. So it's just basically tools, kind of the most specific tools for modeling. You find them arranged in your workspace for you to kind of easily access them without having to go all the way to this menu. So I would implore you or advise you to kind of go through this menu, even though you don't, you know, it's using all of them. At least just go through and then kind of read or kind of memorize, kind of be aware that they're actually in there. So that's when you need them. You always know where to find or bring them out. So that's very important. Then we have the menu specific to using the curve function in here. Okay, so with that out of the way, so I'm just going to touch up some of this in here, so just give you a ground idea as to how to use them. So now other shortcut keys also that I like to use is if you hit the space bar, you kind of pop up. It's supposed to pop up other views, but if it's not popping up other views, just come in here. Come in here and just click on this panel layout in here. Just click on this. You should have other views. You have the top view, perspective view, side view, and front view. So to minimize any of these views, all you have to do is just put your cursor on top of that particular viewport and hit the space bar. That should bring this in. So to go out of this view, just hit the space bar also. Put your mouse cursor in here to the front view and hit the space bar to kind of maximize that view. Okay, to go out of it also. Now if you hold the space bar down, you should have some other options. You should kind of see some of this menu you have around here. You kind of see them in here also. Like for example, this mesh. So if you click and hold, just click the mouse cursor and hold it down. You see some of these tools in here. So you just kind of for a more precise or faster access to some of these menus in here, just hit the space bar down, hold it down, then you can kind of move along some of this. Even clicking on this Maya text in here, you can drag this to click and drag this to the left view, the new camera, right view, bottom view, back view, front view. Now we have the alt style, whichever view you prefer to use, even the perspective view, just for faster access. Another way to kind of go to some of this in a more quicker way also. Like for example, when you have an empty scene and you want to kind of create a new shape in here, instead of going all the way in here, all the way here, just kind of click to create a sphere. We can always use another option too, but since I've clicked this in here, you can click and drag to create a sphere. Alternatively, to create a sphere, we can just hold the shift key, then you right click and hold. Shift key, right click and hold. You should have some other options appearing in here for more faster access too. Okay, so if I want to create a sphere now, just shift click, right click and hold. Just come in here and click on, drag this to sphere in here. Now you also have the interactive creation. Interactive creation actually means you can actually create the shape based on the size you want it to be. Like for example, now if I go to the sphere, I click and create this. But if I hold down shift and right click and hold again, you notice that the options now is now different. Why? Because this particular sphere now is now active, has been activated, so and it's selected also. So holding down the shift key and right click and hold, bring out some other options too, like the extrude that we have in here also. You should also see some other multi-cut like we have here in here also. Let me just drag this all the way here. So if you kind of mistakenly drag this in here, you find other options that are specific to that particular selection. You can always drag this and then go back also in here. And you should have other options also in there to work with. So if you also hold down the control and right click and hold, you should have other options popping out in here also. Like for example, if you have options specific to close selection to faces also, So depending on, let me just drag this all the way in here. Depending on the active tool, holding down Control and holding down Shift and right click and hold should bring out other options for you too. Same also, if you hold Control and Shift, right click and hold, other options will also appear that you can also use. So this is a kind of faster way to kind of work with Maya instead of going all the way to some of this menu in here. But whichever one is more preferable for you to use, you can always use. So if I should delete this now, Shift right click and hold and turn off this interactive creation. Shift right click and hold. Now if I click on this sphere, so just drop a sphere directly on the grid. Then to kind of scale this, you just click come in here. Okay, this is translate to. Click on the translate to. You can move this like so. Click on the rotation tool. You can rotate this however way you want. Scale to. You can scale this out also. Selection tool, you can select out and select this. Alternatively, also if you right click and hold, if you only put your mouse cursor on, put your mouse on the object, right click and hold, you can drag this all the way to object mode. Kind of select the objects. The same thing you find here also in here. So if I should right click and hold, you can go to edge mode, face mode, vertex face and face mode. Edge mode, vertex, face and face. You can go to the UVs also and select the UVs also if you want to, or select the object also. So there's some other options in here too that you can also check out. Like I prefer to use, for example, adding materials to this. You can add Lambert, whichever material you want to add in here, or add existing material. If you already have a pre-existing material in here, you can always come in here and then select any of those.